Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Arizona.
Men with extraordinary abilities walk among us. Some reveal their talents slowly. Others become heroes overnight.
And the Diamondbacks are walking off with a double-header sweep.
They possess blinding speed, incredible strength, pinpoint accuracy, and some seem to defy gravity. If they appear weak, be careful, because when they're most vulnerable, they're most dangerous. Battling back when all seems lost, is that all the men you brought? Is the greatest gift of the game.
Paul Goldschmidt has done it again!
How they use their powers determines their fate. When these warriors set foot on a battlefield, their talents, their skills will be on display for all to see. In every game, every battle, a new chapter is written by the skills of our heroes, both human and mutant.
Back home in the Valley, the Arizona Diamondbacks in a fight here for the National League West. D-back Nation filing into Chase Field. Nice and air-conditioned, cool and comfy inside Kirk Gibson's house. The Diamondbacks wrapping up a 4-game series tonight with the Chicago Cubs. Good evening from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. If Hugh Jackman is in charge here, Bob, sometimes the Diamondbacks are Wolverine. Other times they're singing in French with Anne Hathaway. You're not quite sure what you're going to get. Wade Miley on the mound tonight. He has been much more Wolverine-ish lately.
Yeah, he's been throwing the ball extremely well lately. Got banged around by the Cubs a little bit earlier this year. You look at his numbers over his last 9 starts. Very solid, pitching into the 7th inning on average, ERA under 3. Mentioned that start at Wrigley Field earlier this year. Unfortunately for Wade, wind blowing out at Wrigley, gave up 3 homers and 7 runs in that ballgame.
That's one thing he has to watch out for tonight, the long ball. The Diamondbacks caught a break in one sense there. Alfonso Soriano was in the original lineup for the Cubs. He has been scratched tonight. A reported deal to the Yankees is about 99% done, but Soriano is available tonight, but he is sitting out waiting for that trade apparently to be finalized. In the meantime, we still have to deal with this guy. It has been the Junior Lake show all week here.
Yeah, Junior Lake, an infielder coming up through the Cubs minor league system, but with the trade of Alfonso Soriano, it appears that he's going to find a home on one of the corner outfield spots. This guy has done everything in this series. He's bunted, he's run the bases, he's hit for power, and doing it all with a lot of enthusiasm. A little reminiscent of Yasiel Puig.
Diamondbacks on the bases all last night. Couldn't get that one run in, though, and they'll try again tonight. Staff struggles, the topic of discussion when we come back. Diamondbacks and Cubs wrap up this series coming up next.
game of this 4-game set with the Chicago Cubs. The Diamondbacks looking to bounce back from a loss in extra innings last night. On the field, Jody Jackson with you as we get you set for baseball here on Fox Sports Arizona. Well, last night was a great example of the highs and lows of a baseball game. You look at the fact that Heath Bell threw 2 scoreless innings. Meanwhile, David Hernandez took the loss extremely hard. It's a team sport, but you see individuals take it to heart. He gave up the go-ahead run in the 12th inning as the Diamondbacks fell 7-6. So as he was in the dugout alone, J.J. Putz came on out, and I asked J.J. Putz, what exactly did he tell David Hernandez?
You know, I had older guys come and talk to me when I was struggling, and, you know, it kind of puts your mind at ease a little bit, and just told him don't give up, and, you know, he's got way too much baseball left in him to worry about this little stretch, because it's going to change.
I think you got to give credit to the team that had a lot of heart and went out there, and I think that's why it hurts so much, because you know, we feel like we're better than this, then we can play better, we're going to win games, but you know, we're just going through a rough spot. But guys aren't hanging their heads down; they're going out there and you know, they're giving it everything they can and keeping their heads up and working hard.
Well, the bullpen is a tight group, as is the starting rotation. Wade Miley will go out there and try to put up a strong effort. He took the loss against the Chicago Cubs earlier this season. He'll look to set down this Cubs lineup as the D-backs try to get a win on this Thursday. Stay with us. Steve and Bob have the call next.
Bob Brenly along the way. Cubs and Diamondbacks wrapping up this 4-game series, and the Cubbies have chosen the series to stay very busy, Bobs. In the transaction column, they got rid of Matt Garza, who was supposed to pitch the opener, and now here in the series finale, Alfonso Soriano is apparently on the way out, and he's out of the lineup tonight.
Well, for Cubs manager Dale Swaim, this is what's left. Junior Lake at the top, Starlin Castro in the 2-hole, Anthony Rizzo batting third, Cody Ransom in the 4th spot, normally occupied by Alfonso Soriano. Nate Shearholtz has been an absolute terror in this series. He'll be out in right field. Gillespie, Barney, Castillo, and Villanueva make up the bottom of the order.
21st start for Wade Miley, 6-8, and ERA just over 4. The two numbers that have gotten him into trouble this year. The walks and the home runs. Wade has walked 39, 2 more than he walked all of last year. He's given up 16 home runs, 2 more than all of last year. And here is the troublesome Junior Lake, and what a show he has put on here this week. Through his first 6 major league games, batting .519. Not a bad start. 14 hits in his first 6 games in the big leagues.
Well, that's the good news for Cubs fans. The bad news is he's not going to stay at that pace all season long.
You mean he's not? You see the numbers in this series. First 3 games, 9 for 15, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Good pitch there by Wade Miley. Just missed, said Paul Nart behind the plate tonight. It's 1-2.
Yeah, I mentioned in the open, very reminiscent of Yasiel Puig and the start he got off to in his major league career. Through the first 6 games, a lot of similarities. That one fouled out a play down the right field side. Junior Lake 14 for 27 in his first 6 games at the big league level. Puig was 10 for 24. They both had 5 extra base hits. Lake had 2 homers. Puig had 4. And the OPS for Junior Lake at 1.388, 1.458 for Puig.
1-2 is chopped to short. Cliff Pennington is there. And that's the first out.
Yeah, you see the numbers. I mean, both very impressive. Puig came with a lot more fanfare than Junior Lake, but Lake.
And a lot more money.
Yeah, a lot more money. Lake looks very comfortable here at the major league level. The skipper talked about that yesterday. Some guys just feel like they belong here. They're bored playing in the minor leagues.
And there's Starlin Castro, and they're at 248 on the year. And the other comparison with Puig, Bob, seems to be the tools and the package of very raw tools. The speed, the throwing arm, the power, a little bit of everything.
And both a little rough around the edges. We've seen that a little bit with Puig as he's come back to earth. Teams have found holes in his swing and started to exploit him a little bit. And the same thing will happen with Junior Lake, but both guys have a tremendous upside.
Miley behind 2-0 on Castro here. There's the strike. No player in the National League has had more at-bats than Starlin Castro, leading the league over Jay Bruce, Daniel Murphy, and Gene Segura. It's what he's doing with those at-bats that raises an eyebrow or two. He's at 248 on the year. Speaking of a package of raw tools, we present Starlin Castro.
Probably rushed to the big leagues before he was really ready mentally to be a big league shortstop, but because of those tools, you stick a guy in the lineup and you take the bad with the good.
Yeah, 2011, the youngest player ever to lead the league in hits, just 21 years old, already at the age of 23 in his 4th major league season. D-backs fans, since the day they rolled into town, that one is rolled to Pennington. Just to back up on that tough hop, but he has it 2 down. Defensively, the Diamondbacks look like this. It is a Kubel, Eaton, Parra outfield, Bob, tonight, left to right.
A little surprising, no Cody Ross in the lineup against Villanueva tonight. Ross 5 for 8 lifetime with a homer and 3 base on balls, but it'll be Kubel, Eaton, Parra in the outfield. Prado, Pennington, Hill, Goldschmidt, 3rd to 1st across the infield. Will Nieves once again filling in for Miguel Montero behind the plate, and he'll be catching left-hander Wade Miley.
And we have that tragic news to report. The mustache is gone. Much to this guy's dismay, and all of us, in fact. Apparently, Katie at home put on the pressure. We're not sure exactly what happened, but it had worked nicely. It was catching on. There were children and women in mustaches all over the ballpark, but Adam Eaton is now clean shaven. And the clean shaven Adam Eaton backs up in front of the warning track in deep center field. And Anthony Rizzo flies out. It's a nice tidy 1-2-3 first for Wade Miley. Home half coming up. Inside Chase Field, set for the home half of the first. Cubs and Diamondbacks, no score as of yet. D-backs 52-49, game and a half behind the Dodgers for the NL West lead. And as the Diamondbacks are wrapping up this 4-game series with the Cubs, the Dodgers are home tonight in LA, and they were open up a 4-game series against the Cincinnati Reds. Here is the Diamondbacks lineup tonight with Adam Eaton in the leadoff spot.
So with Adam Eaton, Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt at the top, Jason Kubel in the 4 spot, followed by Martin Prado, Gerardo Parra, Will Nieves, Cliff Pennington, and Wade Miley on the mound for the D-backs.
For the Cubs, it's Carlos Villanueva, his 28th appearance of the year, his 12th start. He has been in and out of the Cubs rotation all year long. A record of 2-6, an ERA of 4.16, 80 hits in just over 84 innings. Eaton, Hill, and Goldie here in the Arizona first. Villanueva initially lost his rotation spot to Matt Garza when Garza opened the season injured. He then went back into the rotation when the Cubs traded Scott Feldman, and have now since moved Garza as well, so Villanueva may stay in the rotation from this point on. Former Brewers great, spent the last 2 years in Toronto.
Very unpredictable on the mound. Has a full arsenal of pitches: fastball, curveball, slider, change. The thing about Villanueva is he won't throw fastballs in fastball counts. He's liable to throw any of those 4 pitches in any count to any hitter.
Not a real hard thrower. Fastball 88, 87, a very frequent changeup. In fact, he throws the changeup more than any other pitch. And here is the clean shave. I have to say, I'm a little upset about the mustache. It looks so good. It was spectacularly awful. And I kind of miss it. There's Adam Eaton getting on base. That's the way it's done. Leadoff walk. I mean, it's been a little mix for Adam this year. I mean, he started out with the full beard. That's kind of the Wolverine look that we saw with Hugh Jackman earlier at the top. And then there was the Super Mario Brothers, Bruno Kirby Godfather 2 look. And then it's this. So this is how the facial hair has evolved.
Well, the good thing about facial hair is if you want, it'll come right back. Hide the razor.
For some guys. Aaron Hill. Now, I have noticed, BB, that in the spirit of the clean-shaven Adam Eaton look, this is you back in the day.
You had to dig way back for that one.
I had fans send me these on the Twitter last night. That's you. That's Cedar Rapids?
1977, Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Oh, see, that's like the all-American Midwest boy right there. Yeah, did you use a blow dryer in that day? Curlers?
Yeah, that's just the way it was.
Now, you mentioned there was one baseball card that you had taken over the years where you actually did not have the trademark mustache.
I believe it was 1983, and I'm sure by now you've got a picture of that too.
Well, it just so happens. I'm glad you mentioned that, Bob. Here's the 1-1 to Aaron Hill at 262. We happen to dig that up, and there it is.
There it is.
It's a good look. That's a Donruss 83.
The hair. I remember when I had hair.
What's an 83 Brenly going for right now?
Probably a nickel, and if it's signed, 3 cents.
You've devalued your own card. 2-1.
Most of them end up in the spokes of bicycles. Did you ever do that as a kid?
No, I never did that because I didn't want to ruin the card. I was a card nut.
Well, that's why certain cards end up in the spokes.
But even then, I felt a little guilty, frankly.
I used to rob the clothespins out of my mother's basket in the backyard and clip about 15 baseball cards to the spokes of your bicycle. You sounded like a Harley Davidson coming down the street.
And now you're riding around on an actual Harley Davidson. 3-1 here. Villanueva has fallen behind. A leadoff walk to Adam Eaton. And now a 3-1 count to Aaron Hill. Spent the day with Aaron Hill today filming a cup of coffee show down at Chloe's Corner here in downtown Phoenix. We'll have that for you on Fox Sports Arizona later this year. Eaton holds it first, and Aaron Hill drives that one down the line in left, and it is off the bullpen wall. And Adam Eaton is going to run right through the stop sign at third, and he will score. RBI double for Aaron Hill. His 11th double, his 16th RBI, and it's a 1-0 Diamondback lead. He was not stopping Matty, no way.
Well, the good news is he scored. The bad news is I'm sure he's going to get a scolding. I mean, there's a reason you have a third base coach there. First inning, I mean, he scores, and that's a good thing. Diamondbacks take an early lead, but you put those coaches out there on the baselines for a reason. They're watching the play behind the runner. They see what's going on.
Is that because you want second and third, no out? Why take a chance?
With Paul Goldschmidt coming to the plate, absolutely.
And speaking of which, here he is. There was no hesitation or anything from Matt. It's not like he put up one sign and changed his mind. He was very definitive down the third base line, arms raised up over his head the whole time. He was stopping Adam Eaton, and there were no two cents about it. But Adam took that big wide turn around third, and he was coming in. 1-0 to Goldie. Goldie on base 5 times last night, 4 walks and a home run, his 22nd of the season, and the 50th of his career. He's in there at .315. A line drive, clothesline home run to left.
And we've talked a lot about hitters getting themselves in predictable fastball counts. Well, that will not be the case tonight against Villanueva. Mentioned it a few moments ago. He's just as likely to throw a changeup on a 3-0 count, throw a slider on a 1-2 count. You never know what he's going to throw out there.
That's right in Goldie's wheelhouse, who's a see it, hit it guy.
Yep.
This was Paul Goldschmidt's home run last night. Just a line drive shot to left. This in the 6th inning after they took Jeff Samardzija out of the game. Number 50.
Well, I'm quoting Dale Swaim here. These are not my words, but he was asked after the ball game last night about that particular pitching change as Goldie chases a slider off the plate low and away for strike 3. Dale Swaim thought that Jeff Samardzija maybe was showing some signs of fatigue. He thought, I want to put a fresh arm out there on the mound, and in Dale's words, that went over like a fart in a spacesuit. Didn't quite work out the way he was hoping.
Gravity's a funny thing. Here's Jason Kubel. I mean, Samardzija was at almost 120 pitches. So 50-50, but boy, the way he had pitched against Goldie.
That's one of those can't win situations for a manager. If you leave Samardzija in and he gives up a home run to Paul Goldschmidt, then people are going to say, well, geez, he was almost 120 pitches. You should have got him out of there.
It's a fun job, huh?
Oh, it's great. It's just great.
Jason Kubel. Jason in the cleanup spot tonight at .237 and 5 home runs. And 110 points better this year versus right-hand pitchers than against lefties. There's that change.
You'll see that a lot in what we call predictable fastball counts. 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, where that hitter is really geared up to hit a fastball. It takes about 8 to 10 miles per hour off of that pitch and gets the hitters way out in front.
The Kubel shift. Starlin Castro, the shortstop, on the first base side of the second base bag. Aaron Hill on second after an RBI double. A run in here in the first. Is this about the sign?
I would imagine this is, yeah, congratulations, way to go, way to give us a lead in the game. Don't do it again.
Nice catch, Hayes. Don't ever do it again. Speaking of going over like a fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah.
Two and one.
Another changeup.
Every time a Diamondbacks player hits a home run this season, Fulton Homes will donate $150 to the Central Arizona Mountain Rescue Association. Well, he's gone out of his way to establish that change, Bob.
It's pretty much been his go-to pitch throughout his career. He's had starts where he's had real good breaking stuff, and you'll see him use the curve and slider a little bit more. On occasion, he's feeling the fastball a little bit, commanding it on both sides of the plate. You'll see him throw more fastballs, but early in the ball game, he's going to use them all until he finds out what's working. And so far, that changeup's been a real good pitch for him tonight.
When a guy throws that pitch as often as he does, and he throws it more than any other pitch, is it hard to sit on a particular pitch like that, the changeup, or do you just sort of have to adjust?
I think you still sit on the fastball. Most hitting coaches teach hitters to look for the guy's fastest pitch and adjust off of that. Now, if you get into a situation where he's throwing 70% changeups or breaking balls, off-speed pitches, then it would make a lot of sense to go to the plate and, at least in the back of your mind, think off-speed.
But right now he's throwing it 27% of the time, according to the analytics, and that is just a little bit more than he throws his fastball. Jason with good numbers against Villanueva career. Adam Eaton walked. Aaron Hill doubled off the bullpen wall in left. Scoring Eaton. Goldie struck out, and now Kubel is up there with a 3-2 count. And it's a long first inning here for Carlos Villanueva and Wellington Castillo behind the plate.
Well, the first game of this series, Tyler Skaggs matched up against left-hander Chris Russin for the Cubs. Another guy who relied heavily on the changeup, and Russin did a pretty nice job for the Cubs. Went 5+ innings, gave up only 2 base hits. Did walk a couple batters, struck out 4, but he's another guy, a left-hander, that relies heavily on his off-speed stuff to set up his fastball.
They did a nice job here. Emergency duty after they traded Garza in the afternoon. Here's the 3-2 to Kubel. It's in the dirt, and that's the second walk of the inning issued by Carlos Villanueva. Walk, double, strikeout, walk. Here's Martin Prado.
That's not unusual for Villanueva either. He'll pick his battles. He had a base open there with a dangerous left-handed hitter at the plate. He just decided, I'm not going to give in to this guy. If I happen to walk Jason Kubel, it sets up a potential inning-ending double play, and I'll go after the right-hander Martin Prado,
who is really swinging a good bat these days at .261 now. 4 hits and 4 RBIs in the series so far. Hill at second and Kubel at first. 1 out, a run in on the Hill RBI double. See if Prado can drive one here. Just missed there. 1-0. Martin on base 4 times last night, including 2 singles and a walk. He was on base 3 times the night before that, including a home run, his 9th of the year. And he has looked like a different guy up there the last 3 weeks. Well, he will do that a lot. Just when he's ahead every time, he'll get one right down the middle and just sort of spit on it.
At some point this season, you'd like to see him turn it around and ambush that first pitch fastball, or in this case, a 1-0 fastball right down the middle of the plate. I think I've talked about it in the past. A former teammate of mine, a former Philadelphia Philly great, Manny Trio, was notorious for that. He'd go to the plate and just stand there like a statue and take until he had 2 strikes. About the next series, the team would go over their advance report. Trio's taking a lot of pitches. He's not swinging early in the count, and he would go out there and ambush that first pitch fastball in the next series. Just try to set up the opposition by what you do in the previous series.
Well, look at this. He was ahead 1-0, and he's taken 2 fastballs essentially right down the middle here. Now he's behind 1-2. Down and away here. Drives that one to center field. Junior Lake is there. That's the second out. Gerardo Parra. Gerardo Parra 277 and 7 home runs. And he had a good night last night. Really been fighting it lately, but last night 2 hits. He scored 2 runs. And prior to the 2-hit game last night, he had been scuffling through a 2 for 35 skid. That dropped his average for the year down by more than 20 points. But he showed some good signs last night. Been a while. Aaron Hill at second, Jason Kubel at first. Gerardo Parra has already, and it's not even August yet, already had more at bats than he had all of last season. And he's also had more base hits and more doubles than all of last year. And the question now becomes, since he's playing much more often than he has before, what does he give you for the next 2 months here? As we're venturing into uncharted waters with Gerardo Parra right now in terms of playing time at bats, grind.
I think he's going to be just fine myself. I mean, this is what he's wanted throughout his career. Nobody really wants to be that 4th outfielder or the backup catcher or the utility infielder. You want to be an everyday player. You want to get those 4 or 5 at bats every day. Physically, he keeps himself in great shape. He has been banged up quite a bit in the first half of the season, but I think he's going to be just fine in the second half.
He has spent a lot of time on the ground, in the words of Kirk Gibson. And Parra has never had 500 at bats in a year in his career. That was a goal that he talked about this spring. He wants to be in there every day. And he said this spring, I'm ready for 500. That's a good number for me. And he's going to get there in a big hurry. There's another one out of play. We'll stay at 1 and 2. And this has turned into a 30-plus pitch inning in the first for Carlos Villanueva, a guy that does not go deep into games anyway, since he has spent much of this season in the bullpen.
And Dale Swaim's bullpen is a little fatigued at this point. They've had to eat up a lot of innings in this series.
A terrific start for the Diamondbacks. They've got Villanueva over 30 pitches. They've got a run in and 2 more on here. Two and 2. Those are the at-bats. Last year he had 385, and here we are on July 25th, and he's already at 387. Gerardo Parra says if you play baseball hard, you'll stay happy in the game. And he has been happy all year long, that's for sure. So have Diamondback fans. He has been something to see. And he's run it full here against Villanueva. So 3 and 2, 2 on, 2 outs. The runners will be off with a pitch. Hill at second and Kubel at first. Will Nieves is on deck. A lot of thinking going on there, it looks like.
On both ends.
That one is bounced in the dirt. It's ball 4. The bases are full. 3 walks in this inning by Carlos Villanueva. He has walked the bases loaded. Here's Bosio.
Going to go out there and tell Villanueva, stop walking, guys.
Good coaching.
That's good coaching, yeah. That's 3-2 slider there that bounced well out in front of home plate to Gerardo Parra. Not sure if that was by design, trying to get Parra to chase a bad pitch, or once again just pitching around a guy that he views as more dangerous than the guy in the on-deck circle.
Well, have they watched the guy in the on-deck circle? Because Will Nieves is hitting everything lately. 4 hits in 10 at-bats in the series so far, and this is his 3rd straight start in there for Miguel Montero, and the back apparently still an issue for Miggy. And so he's getting some extended rest, his first of the season.
He was cash this one in. That ball game last night, the Diamondbacks left the bases loaded in the 1st, the 4th, and the 10th. You get these kind of opportunities, even with 2 outs in the inning. Got to find a way to put a crooked number up there.
Stranded 16 runners last night, and a big chance here with 1 run already in the inning. 1 for 15 last night with runners in scoring position. They have Aaron Hill at 3rd, Jason Kubel at 2nd, and Gerardo Parra at 1st. And that's how the Cubs will play this defensively for Will Nieves, who steps in at .363 on the year. First pitch strike, 0-1. Will making his 16th start behind the plate this year. His numbers on the season overall, .363, but in 15 starts as the catcher, he's hit .359 as the starting catcher. Villanueva quickly ahead 0-2.
Took a little off that curveball. Just enough movement off the outside corner to get the swing and a miss.
And he gets the strikeout. The Diamondbacks leave the bases loaded, but they get a run across on Aaron Hill's RBI double, his 11th double this season, as Adam Eaton runs right through the stop sign, but it's a 1-0 Diamondback lead. Diamondbacks baseball is brought to you in part by George Brazil. George Brazil guarantees the lowest price on a new AC system. Call George today. And by Fulton Homes, you're proud to own, we're proud to build. Back home in Arizona, Diamondbacks lead at 1-0, set for the 2nd inning here. Cody Ransom, Nate Scherholz, and Cole Gillespie against Wade Miley. 4, 5, and 6. A long time to sit there for Wade after Villanueva went nearly 40 pitches in his first inning. Wade Miley very efficient, 14 pitches to get the first 3 outs. 2 ground outs and a fly ball. Here's Cody Ransom, the former Diamondback great. Ransom at .229 on the year. Does have some good power, especially against left-handers. 9 home runs. Cody Ransom hitless in his last 15 plate appearances. He is 0 for 7 in the series so far. He sat out last night. former GCU great.
He's going to be really unhappy to see this series end. A guy that was born and raised right here in the Valley, went to school here, still makes his home here. That's an unexpected pleasure for a player during the middle of a baseball season when your home team is away from your hometown. To make a 4-day trip into the Valley of the Sun, sleep in his own bed, had to be nice for Cody Ransom.
Miley misses there. It's 2-2. Ransom, born in Mesa, went to Chandler High School, South Mountain Community College, and GCU here in Phoenix. And he has made a nice career for himself at the age of 37, a baseball lifer. And Bob, we looked at it on the clock, and it was almost 25 minutes between the time Wade Miley got that last out and the time he went back out there. Is that it's early? So I don't know how that may or may not affect him. We'll see. Ransom drives that one to center field. Adam Eaton backing up at the track at the wall. And he's got just enough room. Cody Ransom gave it a ride about 4:05. But that's the first out.
Wade Miley using the ballpark to his advantage here in the early going. It got Anthony Rizzo to fly out to almost the same location to end the top half of the first. And now Cody Ransom hitting a ball about 400 feet to straightaway center for an out.
And this guy has been a problem. It's Nate Scherholz. Not in the original lineup for the Cubs. He was added late this afternoon when Alfonso Soriano was pulled from the lineup after his reported trade to the Yankees was nearly wrapped up, and Scherholz was dropped into Soriano's spot. Nothing has been confirmed as of yet, and we are told that Soriano technically is still available, but he is sight unseen at this moment. Apparently he's agreed to a deal with the Yankees, but that is all reported. That is not confirmed. And you saw Tim Naring earlier, who was sitting next to Mike Fetters there. There's Fett in the striped shirt. Tim Naring, who was following Soriano for the Yankees, is notably absent down there.
Well, that one got a big bite of Will Nieves right there.
We need Will to stay healthy back there. We're already sort of down one catcher here. Oof.
Of course, it misses the shin guard, catches him on the inside of that right calf, maybe the right ankle. I'm thinking about designing something along the lines of a wetsuit where you just slip it on. It covers your entire body.
Like a Kevlar thing?
Yeah, why not? You know, just
I got to say, that's not
zip yourself in and out of it between
not
innings.
a terrible idea. There's the strikeout. First of the game for Wade Miley. And how about that? He strikes out Scherholz. Haven't been able to do much with him in this series, although it's a tough matchup for Scherholz against the lefty here.
Yeah, he hits only 192 against lefties. Very limited at bats against left-handed hitters. He's kind of part of a de facto platoon for the Cubs out there in the outfield.
So what you're suggesting is almost sort of a catching hazmat suit.
A lot like that. Maybe, obviously not quite that thick, but with the space age materials they have nowadays, you could make it light enough and thin enough and easy enough to get into and out of that we could revolutionize catching equipment.
Martin Prado. 6 up, 6 down so far. Wade Miley rolling along with a 1-0 lead.
They don't want me to swing today either, so let's see tomorrow. I think tomorrow is a pretty normal day. But I feel good. I mean, like, I wanted to go out and hit. I don't know. They just try to take it easy, I guess. Probably Will's getting a lot of hits, so.
Our Geico quote from Miguel Montero, having a laugh, and yes, his backup Will Nieves, who's in there once again tonight, has had some success at the plate, not in the last inning, but overall some news to report that the MRI done on Miguel Montero's back showed some inflammation, but it appears, guys, that it is nothing serious, nothing that will land him on the DL at this point. He says he feels a lot better than he did yesterday, and so it appears that Miguel Montero will work his way back, maybe even as soon as tomorrow. Kirk Gibson did say, though, that he was going to talk to Miggy a little bit later today after we had met with Kirk Gibson to see if he'd be available for tonight. Last night they had decided they really did not want to use him, so it's still a bit of a mystery whether he would be available to pinch hit, guys.
All right, Jody, thanks very much. Cliff Pennington leads off the second with a single, and Kirk Gibson has been talking in the media too, and answering a lot of questions about keeping Will Nieves sharp, playing behind Miguel Montero all the time, and Gibby credited Glenn Sherlock for keeping Nieves ready. And Glenn is always working with the catchers all the time, making sure they're blocking balls and throwing the bases. Miley grounds that one to Darwin Barney. He spins, and they get the force on Pennington at second, and Miley's aboard. And there's Glenn Sherlock, the bullpen coach.
I'll tell you, as a backup catcher, you would much prefer to be in the lineup because you don't have to work as hard when you're in the starting lineup. You do your pregame batting practice, you get your arm loose, you get your legs loose, and you go play a ball game. And when you're the backup catcher and you're not catching on a given day, you may have to block balls in the dirt pregame, you may throw to the bases, work on bunt defense, a little extra hitting in the cage. You get a lot more work in when you're not playing than when you are playing.
Well, it has to kind of be that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does, just to keep your skills sharp.
Adam Eaton walked and scored his first time up, although he perhaps should not have scored. He was on first when Aaron Hill doubled off the Diamondbacks bullpen wall down the left field line, and he ran right through a big stop sign at third for Matt Williams. Here's the 1-0. And then when Adam went back out during the half inning, and he met Matt Williams in the dugout, I ought to just knock you into next week. Look, he's just kidding. All right, it's all cool. It's all good.
As long as you score.
Yeah, I guess you do that, you better make it, right?
Oh, yeah. Or just keep running. You don't want to go back to the dugout and face the manager and the third base coach after running through a flashing red stop sign at third.
Two and one. Tell you what, Bob, we've already seen just in this series what a difference it makes having a healthy Adam Eaton back. I mean, he's scored now in this series. He scored 6 runs. 6 runs in 3 games and 1 inning.
Boy, that speed just changes everything. Puts so much pressure on the defense to make plays and make them quickly.
Force the other team into mistakes. Put the pressure on with the speed. Well, Adam has 9 hits in 12 games since his return from that elbow injury that kept him out of the first 89 games this year. 2-2. Rizzo in front of Miley at first, not holding him on, and he hits it right to him, but he drops the ball, and that's going to be it.
No, stay on the bag.
Doug Eddings is the first base umpire. Paul Nard is behind the plate. Rizzo was standing in front of Miley, the base runner, directly in front of him, in fact. And that one was lined right at him, and he simply just dropped it. Here it is. Oops, I dropped it.
Yeah, and now he goes over and steps on the bag at first, which retires Adam Eaton. But Wade Miley is still entitled to the base there at first.
Come on back, Cubbies. Steve Sachs is laughing about that one down there. Anthony Rizzo looks a little bewildered.
That's just a 3 unassisted at first base, and Wade Miley tried to get back to the bag on that what he thought was a line drive, and Rizzo really should have thrown to second base at that point, gotten the force play on Wade Miley, and then tried the return throw back to first. Well, Wade Miley goes right back to the bag. He thought that Rizzo caught that ball.
Because you're entitled to the base, right? Because you were on the base before the pitch.
Yeah.
They're having a little laugh about it down there. Don't try and pull the rule book over Wade Miley's eyes. I mean, he can quote that thing to you.
Any book,
line by line. 0-1. Up the middle, Castro behind the bag. A little flip to Barney, and they finally figure out a way to retire Wade Miley down there. That's it. We're through 2. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
Don't forget the best in the ballpark.
Cubs, we're very honored to have with us Jeff Santo, the son of Cub legend Ron Santo. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Steve.
I know you guys know each other from way back in the day, right?
Too long.
Long time.
You're here to talk about the JDRF Walk to Cure Diabetes.
Yeah, it's the second year out here, celebrating my father. He's had the walk in Chicago for 35 years, and we're glad to be out here. Yeah, it's going to be November 2nd in Tempe, and also October 26th in Tucson.
Yeah, obviously your dad was very passionate about this. I used to listen to him on Cub Radio all the time talking about this issue, talking about the walk, raising money. He did a tremendous amount for this cause.
Yeah, my dad in his lifetime raised over $60 million for the foundation. And, he was the first Major League Baseball player to play with type 1 diabetes and the only Hall of Famer to play with a disability, basically, now that he's in the Hall.
I know your father. Obviously, we worked together for years there in Chicago and in the booth next door for years and years. And I can't tell you how many times, and you know this, Jeff, as Barney grounds one to short, it would be no problem for Pennington one down. Not only did he raise the money with the high-profile events, all the charitable events that he put on to raise money for diabetes, but just the people that he came into contact with on a daily basis. People would stop him on the way to the team bus. They'd stop him outside the ballpark. They'd talk to him down at the field, whether they had somebody in their family that was afflicted with diabetes. And your dad never, ever turned anybody away. He always would stop and talk and inspire those that were afflicted with the same disease.
Yeah, he loved doing that. You know, for the kids that came down the ballpark who got diabetes at a young age, he'd sit down and talk to anyone concerning the disease. He was great with that.
He touched a lot of lives and continues to do so.
He sure did.
Jeff, is there a website people can go to and read more about it?
Yeah, you can go to jdrfdsw.org, jdrfdsw.org for the walk on the 2nd and the 26th of October.
I mean, Pat Hughes and Keith Moreland do a tremendous job on Cubs radio. I listen on the satellite radio all the time, but your dad was just so much fun to listen to because he was so genuine about it. It came through on the radio. He just loved the Cubs. He loved being a Cub. He loved doing the games. It was really fun to listen to him.
Yeah, people would always say when they're in the car in Chicago, they could turn it on and just by my dad's voice know if the Cubs were winning or losing. Yeah, he was a passionate fan after his career, that's for sure.
Off Miley's leg. Wellington Castillo is going to reach, and we'll check on the status of Wade Miley right here.
You know, they didn't, back then when my dad had diabetes, he got it at 18 years old and came out in the bigs. He didn't tell the Cubs until he made his first All-Star game, you know, fearing that he'd be released. And, you know, back then they didn't have much, didn't really know about the disease. And, you know, he took a shot in the morning and went by how he felt. And that's pretty amazing to be as consistent as he was and only missed like a dozen games throughout the 60s.
We'll check on the status of Wade Miley here as he caught that ball maybe off the back of his leg. I remember hearing your dad tell stories about being in the on-deck circle and not being sure if he was going to be able to stay upright and take his at-bat in the heat and fighting what he had to go through.
Yeah, he kept candy bars in the dugout.
Yeah.
You know, just regulating his sugars when he would go low because actually working out is an extra an added insulin. So he always kept candy bars in the dugout in case his sugar went low.
And BB, you can speak to just what he meant to Cubs fans all over the country, not just in Chicago.
I mean, in all of sports, I don't know if there's a more beloved team than that 69 Cubs team, and they didn't even win.
No, they didn't.
But everybody that was on that team, I mean, it was a veritable all-star team. Everybody they ran out there at every position, just not only great ball players, but great individuals, and I think that's why Cub fans really latched onto that ball club, and those guys are still the most beloved ball players in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, they played together for a lot of years.
Oh, see how Wade Miley, BB took a shot off it looked like the back of the leg or the back of the knee.
I think it might have caught him on the knee the way he was limping around there. Yeah, Wade Miley's a guy that usually doesn't show anything out there on the mound if it's you know, just off a muscle. But I think this one might have caught him on the knee. If you watch that ground ball right on the inside of the right knee as he's trying to get out of the way.
He's going to stay out there.
Yeah, I can vividly remember listening to your father and Pat Hughes one time talking about entertainment. Slow game, which had happened quite often. And it was close to the All-Star break, and Pat asked your father, where are you going to go for the break? And you kind of caught your dad by surprise. He says, well, we're going to that place up there in Wisconsin. He just couldn't think of it. It wasn't right there on the tip of his tongue. So Pat started making suggestions. Well, Wisconsin Dells? No. You going to Madison? No. And with each suggestion from Pat, Ron got madder and madder. And, you know, finally, Pat just said, well, wherever it is, Ron, I'm sure you'll have a good time.
Yeah, they had a great time in the booth.
Oh, they were quite a pair.
They sure would.
So here's the pitcher, Carlos Villanueva, with Castillo in first and one away. Jeff, what are youngsters that battle diabetes and go through this? What do they go through on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, just regulating your sugars. And really, JDRF, if it wasn't for the parents out there with the kids that are living with diabetes, and they're the ones that really push this foundation. You know, the young kids that you got to watch during the night, you know, if they're high or if they're low. And it's really taking care of yourself. You know, my dad always said, you know, you got to accept this disease. It's one of those diseases you got to look at it right in the face and say, hey, I have this. I have to accept it, and I have to take care of myself. And you can live a regular life, a normal life. I mean, look at what my dad did back in the day. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. So it's really just, you know, keeping an eye on your sugars and maintaining, you know, throughout the day. And today you could take, you know, 4 shots a day and check your sugars, you know, every minute if you wanted to.
Villanueva can't get the bunt down, and that's the second out, the second strikeout for Wade Miley. So the Diamondbacks catch a break there. I know our president and CEO Derek Hall is on the corporate chair for the walk last year. He's on the board of directors, so the Diamondbacks are very involved here too.
They really have been, yeah. And now that my dad's the second year that they're celebrating his name, and yeah, the walk did very well last year, and we hope to raise over $1 million at this walk.
There's Junior Lake. Now, do you watch a lot of Cub? Are you a big Cub fan now?
Of course, I'm a Cub fan. But do I watch a lot of it living out here? Only when they come on. I mean, it's been a couple of tough seasons, and seeing these on-base percentages that they have. I mean, boy, you know, my dad walked a lot. These guys don't like walking, that's for sure.
Here's Junior Lake, who's been a sensation. He grounded out to shortstop his first time. And he might do so again right here. And the Diamondbacks get out of this. Jeff Santos, JDRF, the walk to cure diabetes. Jeff, thanks very much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bob. Great seeing you.
Have the Phantom Cam for you, and what this is, it's a new slow-mo camera. The shot on the far left of Heath Bell is 60 frames per second. Patrick Corbett in the middle, that's the X-Mo, that's 300 frames per second. Look at Phantom Cam. Phantom Cam is 3,000 frames per second, and we will have the Fox Phantom Cam for you all weekend long at Fox Sports Arizona for the series against the Padres. And we're going to, you know, as usual, we're going to not take this seriously and kind of screw around with it. So our AT&T Twitter poll question is, we're going to smash something in slow motion, 3,000 frames a second. So do you want us to smash a melon, an egg, a balloon, or a Dodger bobblehead?
I got a feeling I know which way this was going to go.
So tweet us your vote to @Fox Sports Arizona, melon, egg, balloon, or Dodgers, and we will smash it in slow-mo at 3,000 frames per second on the Phantom Cam. This is an excellent use of technology, and we will put it to good use here over the weekend. So it appears that Wade Miley is okay for now. He did go back down the tunnel to be looked at in the clubhouse by the training staff here once they got that final out. And so hopefully we see Wade back out there for the fourth inning. In the meantime, the Diamondbacks hold a 1-0 lead. Goldschmidt, Kubel, Prado, 3, 4, and 5 here in the Arizona third against Carlos Villanueva. That's fouled back. In fact, I think we have an update here on Wade Miley with Jody. Jody, what do you have?
Well, I just have my observations. When Wade Miley came off, he went into the tunnel with trainer Ken Crenshaw. Then when he emerged, Kirk Gibson went over to him at the water cooler and said, "Are you all right?" It appeared that Wade said yes, but at the same time, Wade looked like he was still trying to kind of shake it off. So that's the conversation that I saw from here.
Thanks very much. Goldie strikes out for the second time tonight. Bob, that appeared to really hurt. Oftentimes guys, they deflect it with the glove or something, but that looked like it got him flush on the back or the side of the knee.
Yeah, the way he reacted, you could tell it made a serious mark there on the inside of his right knee as he falls off to the third base side. Oof, right away, limping. We've seen Wade take him in the calf, in the back of the thigh, but that one hit right on the joint line, and obviously you want to keep the swelling down. Try to keep him as mobile as possible so he can continue to pitch in this ball game.
Yeah, the other shame of it is that's been the only hit against Wade Miley, literally off Wade Miley in this case, and there is Wade trying to walk it off in the dugout in the clubhouse and get it out and get back out there. He's been pitching a terrific ball game so far. He retired the first 7 he faced before getting hit on the knee by that comebacker, then got a strikeout and a ground ball, and he has pitched 1 hit ball through 3 here so far. 2-0 to Jason Kubla, walked his first time up. That is down the line and foul.
And now for Ken Crenshaw and Charlie Nagy and Kirk Gibson, they're going to keep a close eye on Miley when he goes back out to the mound for the next half inning, just to make sure that knee does not affect the rest of his mechanics. The last thing in the world you want to do is have a guy try to protect one injury and create another one. So I'm sure they'll watch his mechanics, they'll watch his arm angle, they'll watch his release point, make sure he's doing everything he needs to do to pitch effectively.
Well, we've already seen the Diamondbacks lose a starting pitcher on a comebacker when Trevor Cahill was hit by a comebacker off the hip. That was hit by the Marlins' Marcell Ozuna earlier this year, and Trevor had to leave that game, made another start, and then had to go on the DL with a contusion that got too bad to pitch, and he's still out. And now Wade Miley takes one off the knee here. Another strikeout for Villanueva. That's his 4th, 2 down here in the 3rd.
Anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
He looks to be at least not noticeably limping or anything right now.
Yeah, we had a little fun with the Phantom Cam that we're going to use this weekend in the Padres series. And we're going to have some educational things too. I mean, that camera is great for picking up rotation on pitches, the ball actually compressing at contact at home plate. A lot of different baseball related things that are going to be a lot of fun to watch this weekend.
You've been busy in the lab then, huh? Working with the staff, the crew, lining some things up. All right, Spielberg. Look forward to that all weekend long. Diamondbacks and Padres, 3 games, have all 3 for you right here on Fox Sports Arizona.
This inning, a perfect example of what we've been talking about with Carlos Villanueva in the early part of this ball game. He rarely throws a fastball in a predictable fastball count, but he can surprise you with a fastball when you're looking for an off-speed pitch.
That is lifted into right field. Nate Scherholz. And it's a 1-2-3 third for Carlos Villanueva, including 2 strikeouts. We're through 3. Diamondbacks lead at 1-0. you in part by Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by Gila River, another proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We are back at Chase Field. Diamondbacks lead the Cubs 1-0. And the fans, the search is on. And it's a search for an Arizona sports fan to join Mallory and Danielle as the next Fox Sports Arizona girl. All you have to do is log on to girls.foxsportsarizona.com. And you can upload your photos, submit your video for a chance to be the next Fox Sports Arizona girl. Registration ends on Friday, August 2nd, so don't delay. Get on board as the search is on. Starlin Castro, Anthony Rizzo, Cody Ransom, 2, 3, and 4 in the fourth against Wade Miley, who took one off the knee in the last inning, and we'll see how Wade looks here. Castro grounded out his first time up, 0 for 1. He didn't look great.
Well, and that right knee is the leg, obviously, that he lands on. Really a lot of pressure as he comes down on that right leg and then spins off toward the third base side. We'll keep a close eye on him.
That one is a fair ball, and it gets down the right field line. Castro heads for second. Gerardo Parra picks it up, and Starlin Castro is in there with his 24th double to lead off the Chicago fourth.
Not a bad pitch. No. Knee high, outside part of the plate. Just a better piece of hitting by Castro that time.
So Castro had been only 3 for 14 in the series with 6 strikeouts. He gets his 4th hit against the Diamondbacks here. And the Cubs have the tying run in scoring position with no outs for Anthony Rizzo. Wade just didn't seem to be landing all that smoothly on that leg against Castro. Rizzo flied out his first time to win the first, 0 for 1. Anthony Rizzo scored 3 of the Cubs' 7 runs last night. He walked twice, had an RBI double. He lines that one off the fist, but Pennington is there behind the bag. And that's the first outs. Ramtrucks.com pool area, fun place to watch a game. What is this? Meet me at Marley's. Is Thunder Dan out there anywhere? Good night to be at the pool.
None of those people look at all like Dan Marley.
I would say no. Oh, hold on. There he is. Hold it. Turn around. Here's Cody Ransom. That could have been him.
Well, obviously, the knee is a little bit of a wild card here for Wade Miley, but coming into play tonight, he had pitched 60 innings, 1, 2, and 3. Had pitched 60 2/3 innings from the 4th inning on. So pretty even split right there. First 3 innings of the game, and then the 4th inning on. Had given up only 6 home runs, innings 1, 2, and 3, and his ERA was 2.85. But from the 4th inning on, 10 home runs and an ERA of 5.19.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, the 4th inning just in itself has been an issue this year. He's ahead 0-2 on Ransom. Castro at second after the leadoff double. There's the strikeout. That's the 3rd of the game for Wade Miley. It's a big one, now 2 down. This guy has looked better and better since that loss at Wrigley Field. He's pitched better. He faced the Cubs May 31st at Wrigley. Had a tough day. 7 runs, 7 hits, 7 innings with 7 strikeouts, but he gave up the 3 home runs. And he's pitched much better since. Nate Scherholz struck out his first time up. Since that loss, beware of Ivy. That's a Cub fan. Since the loss to the Cubs on May 31st, Wade has made 9 starts, and in those starts, he's gone 3-3 with a 2.89 ERA. And you'll take those numbers, certainly the ERA anytime. It's that one by Scherholz is 1-1. So he has been a noticeably different guy since he last faced the Cubs. Look at that. 5.01 to 2.89. He has cut his ERA almost in half. He's coming off a start against the Giants Saturday that was a little rough. That one got Paul Nart now. He'll walk that off. Boy, this is a tough night for those guys. Nieves took one off the leg, then Miley, and now Paul Nart.
Yeah, off that right knee. You can see Will Nieves right away ask for the new baseball, and rather than throw it out to Wade Miley, he walked it out to Wade Miley to give Paul Nart an opportunity to regroup back there.
Do you ever have an umpire that you weren't particularly upset that he was in pain and maybe didn't do that as the professional courtry, or is that you do it every time?
Yeah, you always take care of those guys. I mean, I have my share of scraps with the umpires, but you know, that's kind of a professional courtesy for the guys that wear the gear.
He did not go, says Angel Hernandez at third.
It was a little bit different back when I played because you had a set of National League umpires and a set of American League umpires.
So you're even more familiar with everybody.
Yeah, you really got to know the guys probably better than you should have. And a lot of the umpires that I worked in front of, I actually caught in the minor leagues in front of them.
Left field, Jason Kubel. And Wade Miley strands that leadoff double. He's not looking that great right now, but he's certainly pitching well. He leads at 1-0. Half of the fourth, and fans, it's almost here this Saturday. You can get the D-backs Luchador mask. This is the official Luchador mask. It's courtesy of Circle K in Univision, Arizona. Still time to get tickets for Saturday's game. It's a 5:10 start against the Padres, so get your tickets now. Then come down to Chase Field Saturday and get your D-backs Luchador mask. Call us at 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com. Lucha, and you can look like that, or you can look like this. This is a Kurt up here. Uh-oh, don't. We might need that so we can smash it with the with the super slow-mo cam. He's very angry about the Dodgers. It's hard to blame him.
He's angry because we make him put that mask on every night.
We're 20,000 of them, BB. Giving away Saturday, so get down here. That's the official Luchador mask, and it's a new model, I'm told. It's been updated, improved. Had it in the lab. Made some refinements on it. Gerardo Parra leads off the fourth. Parra, Nieves, Pennington 6, 7, and 8. Diamondbacks lead at 1-0. Adam Eaton walked to lead off the game for the D-backs. He scored on an Aaron Hill double. Diamondbacks left the bases loaded in that inning. Sort of a flashback to last night when they stranded 16, but they did get the run across, and that run has stood up so far. Wade Miley has pitched just terrific so far. Given up only 2 hits. He's got 3 strikeouts. Look out, Steve Sachs. Steve Sachs was fielding grounders during BP the other day, and he was taking a savage beating from the coaching staff who go out and run every day. Gibby and the guys run every day, and they're hardcore about it. They never skip a day. Well, apparently Saxey only goes out about once a week. So there was some question about his physical fitness, his agility level. It was all being called, his athletic ability, all being called into question by the rest of the staff.
Yeah, we've seen that on several occasions this year after the infielders are done taking their ground balls. Towards the end of batting practice, Matt Williams will find his way out to the left side of the infield, and Steve Sachs will find his way out to the right side. Flashbacks.
He still got it. 1-2 to Gerardo Parra. And Matt Williams, he looks like he could still play.
Yeah, it's not unusual to go over to Mountainside Fitness right here at Chase Field and see the coaching staff over there riding the bikes or on the treadmill.
My favorite is when they play fungo golf. You ever play fungo golf?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I sit up here and I prepare, for the broadcast, and you do your book and you're doing your notes and you're reading your internet sites and everything, and you'll watch the fungo golf game. Now, how does fungo golf work?
Well, basically, it's just like real golf. You got a baseball, you got a bat, and you pick a hole. Okay, hole number 1 is the base of the foul pole in left field. And you determine what par is, and you throw it up and smack the ball down toward the left field foul pole. And occasionally you'll say, for example, the warning track is water. So if it rolls off onto the dirt part of the warning track, you're in a water hazard. You have to take a stroke penalty. And you just kind of play like real golf. You make up the rules as you go along, which is half the fun of it. But just something to occupy your time, and you chase the ball after you hit it. It's a good conditioning tool as well.
Yeah, they sort of play it on the run. It's not like a leisurely round of golf. They do sprint after the ball, and they keep a pretty steady pace. And Gerardo Parra battling Villanueva, driving that pitch count up now. Yeah, they all hit it. There'll be 3 or 4 of them, and they'll hit it to the first hole, and they'll chase after it and quickly pick it up and hit it to the next hole, and they'll sort of circle the field that way 3 or 4 times. 66 pitches now for Villanueva, 40 for strikes. Parra walked his first time up. Oh, we are in battle mode right now. The guy has been slumping, BB, like Parra has been slumping. It's been a tough stretch for him, and we've talked about that. They're trying to fight his way through it. 2 for 35 before last night when he had 2 hits, and he's fouling off a bunch of pitches like that. Does that indicate anything that it's sort of coming back around here? 9th pitch of the at-bat on the way.
Well, you'd like to think so, as long as the pitches he's swinging at are in or around the strike zone. Yeah, I've said it many times before, and hitting coaches will tell you this, that usually when a guy goes into a little bit of an offensive funk, it's because he's swinging at bad pitches, taking the good pitches.
Rolls that one a second. Darwin Barney, the Gold Glover, bobbles it over there. And he just does get him, says Doug Eddings at first. Barney made that close, but they get the out. Boy, tell you what, for a Gold Glover, Darwin Barney has not had a good series defensively.
Yeah, this is a very quick infield compared to Wrigley, and the ball gets on him maybe a little bit quicker than he expected. We've seen something from Cubs pitchers in this series, including Villanueva. That's his regular delivery on the left side out of the windup. The one on the right is what we call a quick pitch. You see how he just kind of slides into it. Anything to disrupt the rhythm of the hitter up there at the plate. And we've seen a couple of their relief pitchers use that quick pitch from time to time.
Boy, I tell you what, Will Nieves is going to be seeing this guy's changeup in his sleep.
That's the Bugs Bunny changeup hitters call it. If you remember that cartoon when Bugs Bunny was playing baseball and they'd swing at the ball 3 times before it could get to home plate.
All 3 guys in a row, and he would strike out the side on 1 pitch. When he ever struck out his first time on 3 slow balls, and he gets a hold of a little bit of a fastball right there and drives it over. Sure holds his head, and it gets into the seats. Ground rule double. Will Nieves. That's Will's 6th double this season. And the Diamondbacks have a 1-out base runner here. Should have kept throwing him the slow stuff. Boy, every time he's in there, BB, he hits.
Well, he certainly doesn't get cheated. He really lets that bat go. Got some backspin on that one. Gets it over the head of Nate Shearholtz. Bounces it over that fence up into the stands. Watch out for the blow dart.
So a runner on in scoring position with the one away. Cliff Pennington up. He singled his first time. With Pennington at shortstop today, Didi Gregorius getting a day off, and of course Willie Bloomquist is still out with that injured hand, the fractured hand, and could be out for a while. But mentioned how the coaches keep busy and guys try to keep in different shape, running the stairs and playing fungo golf and doing different things. And Willie's had a routine here at the ballpark lately. Cliff Pennington lifts that in the air to left field. Cole Gillespie running near the line on the run, and it's off the glove and over the wall. Nieves will score. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks. Ground rule double for Cliff Pennington. That's his 9th of the year. Boy, Gillespie really laid out for that one, but he couldn't quite get it.
Well, he did. Gillespie runs pretty well out there in left field. Got a good jump on the ball. He just kept slicing farther and farther away from it. Great effort. Ball just hits off his glove into fair territory and over the bullpen wall out there for a book rule double.
So Cliff Pennington 2 for 2 with a single and a double. Another run in. 2-0 Diamondbacks. And now here's Wade Miley. That's the third double of the ball game for the D-backs.
The Cubs not expecting a bunt in this situation. D-backs up by 2 runs. And Rizzo playing way back at first. Cody Ransom backpedaling even more at third base over toward that hole.
Wade Miley reached on a fielder's choice his first time up.
I was just going to say he approaches his at-bats just like he does when he's on the mound. He doesn't even get out of the batter's box.
Goes down and gets that one, lifts it into shallow left. Cole Gillespie's there. No chasing after that one. It's right to him, 2 down. Mentioned the training regimen and how different guys go through different things, and now we've got Cliff Pennington at shortstop today and Didi Gregorius with a day off and Willie Bloomquist on the DL. And BB, this is what Willie does now to keep in shape.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the left hand bandaged up right there, he can't use it to actually catch the ball, but he's using the same footwork, getting his body into a good position to field a ground ball. And as soon as he's able to get a glove on that left hand and start to take ground balls for real, the rest of his body will be ready to go.
Adam Eaton. Yeah, they run that drill. Matt Williams just hits ground balls to Willie at shortstop for about 20-30 minutes, and by the time they're done, there's about 300 baseballs in left field that somebody has to go pick up.
Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, and Willie, obviously with that broken hand, can't touch the baseball or make contact, but he does simulate the motion of the the scoop and the throw and the whole thing. You never know what you're going to see out here at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we have to come up with a better adjective than bitter Bill. I mean, he's bitter Bill when he plays. When he's not playing, he is way past bitter.
Yeah. Grumpy old Bill. He has a nickname of Grumpy Old Bill around the clubhouse. Oh, Wade Miley's, he's just ready to go here. Bitter Bill, Grumpy Old Bill. All the other pitchers are giving Wade a little abuse about his swing, apparently. 1-1. And it's not that Willie is not a nice guy. He's a terrific guy, but he's sort of always focused and a little intense. He's all business a lot of times.
He's very engaging, when you can catch him in those rare moments when he's not concentrating on something else.
Yeah, if he's thinking about something, he doesn't want to be bothered. There's the strike. It's 2-2. Adam has walked and grounded out. He scored a run. The first Diamondback run ran right through the stop sign of Matt Williams at third and scored from first on the Aaron Hill double. His 6th run of this series. Out by the pool, ramtrucks.com pool area. Hey, there's Jeff Santo. He's getting the Grand Tour, and they're happy to see him. Up in the booth, getting some beverages out there at the ramtrucks.com pool. Pretty good gig.
You notice how they had to twist his arm to take that beverage?
Yeah, he really had to talk him into it. Here's the 2-2. I remember listening to a game one time with Ronnie and Pat driving around in the car. They come out of a break, and it's just Pat. And it's the game against the Rockies, and Tulowitzki has this long at bat, and it's just Pat. And I'm thinking, well, where's Ron? And then after about 10 minutes, you can hear over the radio the door close, and you can hear a guy, grabs his thing, puts it on, puts this thing back on. And he comes in, the first thing he says is, "What did Tulowitzki do?" He grounded out to short, Ron. And now they have Keith Moreland in there, does a terrific job on Cubs radio. Bring him up, sit him down. That's the 5th strikeout for Carlos Villanueva, but the Diamondbacks get another run across on Cliff Pennington's RBI double. And through 4, they lead the Cubs 2-0. Brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Mazda, we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Jack in the Box, go big at a Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger. Set for the 5th inning at Chase Field. Wade Miley, despite taking one off the knee earlier in the game, is pitching a beauty so far. He's given up only 2 hits, 4 shutout innings. He's got a 2-0 lead. And he'll face Cole Gillespie, Darwin Barty, and Wellington Castillo, 6, 7, and 8 here in the Cub 5th. And a key for Wade Miley, and it's one of his keys to success. And it's one thing he's done a lot better lately, is keeping the ball on the ground. He's had a few fly ball outs, and this is going to be another one here. It's popped up in the shallow left center, and Jason Kugel's there. One away. Hey fans, FoxSportsArizona.com, all your online local sports coverage. Boy, nobody gets more camera time around here than Jack McGruder.
Rightfully so.
I mean, he's got all the post-game analysis for you from this one. The Cardinals' 10 biggest questions heading into training camp, and Pac-12 football preview and predictions all right now at FoxSportsArizona.com. Jack is always hard-working. He's like the old-school sports writer. He's sort of got that rough and tumble, gruff sort of exterior. You know, this Old 70s Dick Young kind of a thing where he's, you know, a little Oscar Madison-ish.
Sitting at his typewriter.
Yeah. And then you talk to him. He's terrific. Hey, how you doing? Martin Prado spins and throws. 2 down. Good example right there what Wade Miley does. Only 11 starting pitchers in all of Major League Baseball do a better job of keeping the ball on the ground than Wade Miley. Right now, Wade ranks 12th in all of baseball in ground ball percentage, almost 52%. And the problem that has bitten Wade before is the long ball. When they do get it up in the air against him, it tends to go. Here's Wellington Castillo.
And in my extensive research in all my years in baseball, I found that if you hit it on the ground, it rarely goes over the fence.
That is true. You have some research that can back that up, or are you just going to make blanket statements?
I'll let somebody else look it up.
Well, Wade's home run to fly ball percentage is over 15%. That's actually 8th worst among all Major League starters. And 15% is a big jump up from last year when his home run to fly ball ratio was less than 7%. So he's been giving up more home runs this year as he gives up more fly balls. So the key for him is keep it on the ground. As Bob mentioned, it won't leave the yard if it's on the ground. And at 52%, he is among the best in baseball at doing that. Where did that miss? All right. 3-1. Missed again. 2-out walk. That is the first walk tonight issued by Wade Miley. And let's see if they let Villanueva hit here, and here he comes.
Now, we mentioned Dale Swaim's bullpen is a little dinged up over the course of this 4-game series. He's had to get a lot of innings out of that bullpen. He's going to probably let Villanueva pitch as deeply into this ball game as he possibly can.
So he walks the 8-hole hitter, and here comes Villanueva, who struck out his first time. 64 pitches so far for Wade Miley. And he looks sharp tonight, boy. One walk and 3 strikeouts. He's given up 2 hits. A Castillo single in the 3rd that went off Miley's knee. He was able to continue the game, but clearly was in a lot of pain there. And Castro's double that led off the 4th. And he just got strikeout number 4 there to strand the 2-out walk. We'll go to the home half of the 5th. And the Diamondbacks lead it 2-0. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. It's Aaron Hill, who had an RBI double back in the 1st. Go by signing up at one of 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game, and you can play Kachinko. It's big. Villanueva back out there for the home half of the fifth and trails at 2-0. Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt, and Jason Kubel here in the Diamondback fifth. By the way, Bob, during one of the breaks we did some research, and we found out that this 83 card of you, the one without the mustache, if you go on eBay, it's actually worth $15.
Wow.
Now that's signed. Unsigned might be worth 20. But right now on eBay, an 83 Brenly Donruss sign goes for $14.95.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
Aaron Hill lifts it in the air, high and deep, and that ball is gone. A home run. Aaron Hill is back. A double and now a home run, his fifth of the year, and it's 3-0 D-backs. Now that's how you break out of a 4-for-31 slump. It's a Fulton home run. Another $150 goes to Central Arizona Mountain Rescue.
Aaron Hill has sat out the last couple of ball games, and sometimes for a guy who's used to playing every day, especially a guy who spent a lengthy time on the disabled list, you sit on the bench for a couple days, you get hungry. You want to get back in that lineup. You want to do something to help your team win. Aaron Hill doing that tonight.
I'd like to think it was the cup of coffee show that we shot with him this afternoon.
Well,
Last time.
Here's Goldie, who has struck out twice so far. You talk about a hanging nothing ball. That pitch from Villanueva, holy moly. That was a hanging nothing ball. It's one thing to throw a nothing ball, but when you hang it. Goldie hard to short Castro. There he is again. Bob backing up. Let's take a look at where this pitch is and what's on it.
oh. Hang him and bang him. I mean, pitchers are going to make mistakes. On a given night, you may run into a Justin Verlander or a Cliff Lee when they're on top of their game and they don't make mistakes. But for the most part, these guys are humans. They're going to occasionally throw a spinner up there that doesn't break. They're going to miss their spot with a fastball. The key is to take advantage of those mistakes, and that's exactly what Aaron Hill did.
Jason Kubel has walked and struck out. Aaron Hill was coming out of a slump, and we'll see if Jason can do the same here. Right now he is 5 for 37 this month.
That's why sometimes you'll see a hitter when you're facing a Clayton Kershaw or pick a name. Pick any of the good pitchers in the game. And you'll see a hitter take a swing and foul a pitch off, and they're frustrated and they're mad at themselves because they know that may be the last mistake pitch they get a chance to put a good swing on.
And I tell you what, at this rate, we may see the entire Diamondback team down there on Gibby's new end of the dugout, because he's down there now on his lucky end when he needs some offense. We have to get to the bottom of this, actually. This started last night, I believe.
Last night was the first night I'd seen him venture down to that end of the dugout.
Every time the team was up and they needed some offense or a hit, Gibby got down on that end, and it seems to be working. He's smiling, chatting everybody up. Of course, it could just be standing next to Wade Miley. That's always entertaining. 2-2. To first, Rizzo. Little flip to Villanueva. That's the second out. Just happen to look up at the scoreboard right now. Dodgers and Reds opening up a 4-game series in LA. It should be a good one tonight. Latos versus Greinke as Greinke goes for his 100th win. And the scoreboard at Chase Field right now shows it right there. 2-1 Reds in the fourth. So far, so good.
Other National League West action. The Rockies lost to the Marlins today 5-3. San Diego beat the Brewers 10-8. Real pitcher's duel there.
Martin Prado is flat out twice, 0 for 2. That's the strike all the way, 0-1. Martin Prado has looked like a different guy up there last 3 weeks, and it really began when the Diamondbacks left for that 10-day road trip to play Washington, Atlanta, and the Mets. He has hit .333 since June 25th. And that's with 4 homers and 16 RBIs. He's slugging over .500 since the start of that road trip. His bat has come alive. Up the middle, there's a base hit. Off the glove of Barney, who kicks it into left field, and Prado will hit for second, and he's going to make it. And now the Cubs have turned this into a snowball fight out there, and Martin Prado has collided with Starlin Castro at second. He looked like he took it in the side of the head or the neck, and Castro's not doing all that well either. The ball kicked off the glove of Barney, who tried to make a diving play, and it sailed into shallow left field. Prado saw that opening and took the extra base.
That's the tail end of the play as Martin goes in, and Castro comes right down on the right side of his neck there as he went up for that errant throw. I'm sure that didn't feel very good, but it could have been a lot worse if those cleats got involved.
He scored a double. That's the Diamondbacks' 4th double tonight. And now we'll wait and see. You don't want to lose Martin Prado the way he has swung the bat lately. Boy, first Wade Miley takes one off the knee, and now Martin Prado gets it in the neck.
He's saying he's okay. Ken Crenshaw running a few tests. Does this hurt? Does that hurt? Can you look this way? Can you look that way?
How about the hustle play, too? Running with his head up all the way. Take a look at this. He sees it go off the glove of Barney. Little bit of an opening as the ball dies in shallow left, and he takes off.
Which is big with 2 outs in the inning. Get yourself into scoring position if at all possible. A little bit of a risk that time, but Prado gets in ahead of the throw as the Cubs were firing it all over the field there. But now he's in scoring position. Opportunity for Gerardo Parra to drive in a run.
Parra has walked and grounded out, 0 for 1. Diamondbacks tonight with 4 doubles and a home run. Parra last season 273, 7 home runs. Right now he's at 276, 7 home runs. Nice play in the Cub dugout.
David Bell, third base coach.
I bet if you coach bases long enough, you get pretty quick reflexes and instincts.
Instincts is the right word. A lot of times you're not even facing home plate when the ball is delivered, but you can tell by the sound of the ball off the bat whether it's coming your direction or not. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but when you're down on the field on a daily basis in batting practice. I stood one day with Don Zimmer. There was a screen up in front of second base so the middle infielders could practice their double plays. And Zim was standing there with his back to home plate and was calling out where every ball that was hit in batting practice was going to go. It was amazing. Now, Don Zimmer spent a little time on a baseball field.
70 years.
Yeah, but he could stand there and point to the left or the right or straight into center field, just judging by the sound of the ball off the bat.
But I've seen, especially Matty down there at third, guys will hit line drive shots that go foul down the third base line that will miss him on either side by 6 or 8 inches, and he doesn't even flinch. It's amazing to see. Pitch number 100 on the way from Villanueva, 0-2. There goes Prado. It's in the dirt. Castillo can't corral it, and Martin Prado has himself a stolen base. That's his third this year. Getting dirty.
Usually not a high percentage play to steal third base with 2 outs in an inning, but he got a little bit of a walking lead. Villanueva wasn't paying much attention to him. It was an off-speed pitch. Everything worked in his favor that time.
100 pitches now for Villanueva, 64 for strikes. Cub bullpen still quiet. Villanueva does not go deep into games.
We showed you David Bell over there in the first base dugout, the Cubs third base coach. A little bit of a family reunion here the last 4 days. His brother Mike Bell is the director of player development for the Diamondbacks.
I was talking to Mike the other day. He had just was down looking at Owings and Davidson, some of those other guys. A lot of talent down there. Prado at third, 2 down. Two and two. This is Carlos Villanueva's 4th straight start. He's gone just 4 innings in 2 of the last 3 starts. His command has been sketchy. He started on Saturday at Colorado and got shelled. 7 runs, 9 hits, 4 walks in 4 innings. Castro at short. Goes play at first, but Villanueva strands Prado at third. But the Diamondbacks get another run across on Aaron Hill's 5th home run of the year, and we are through 5. It is 3-0 D-backs. Chase Field, Diamondbacks lead at 3-0. And if you or someone you know would love to be calling the game, and they're between the ages of 10 and 14, and then come out this Sunday to Chase Field. Fox Sports Arizona Sanderson Ford Kidcaster auditions are this Sunday, and they're from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Sandlot here at Chase Field. That's during the Padres and D-backs game. And if you win the audition, you'll be right up here alongside us in the booth calling the game. And so come on out to the ballpark this Sunday. Junior Lake leads it off for the Cubs against Wade Miley, Lake, Castro, and Rizzo here. 1, 2, and 3 in the Chicago 6th so far. Lake is 0 for 2. Bob, I was handed some disturbing news during the break.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to lie, it's bad. We were talking to the artist Todd McFarlane yesterday. He was behind home plate about his home plate project where they design different works of art on home plates, and they're up for bid and everything. Homeplateproject.com. Look at this. Lake can run. Wade Miley will not get it. And Junior Lake, he's hitting home runs. He's bunting for base hits. He's doing everything. That's just the 3rd Cub hit against Wade Miley. Put it in a perfect spot.
For the next issue the Cubs are going to have with Junior Lake is where will he hit in the order? I mean, obviously plugs that leadoff hole nicely with his speed, his ability to bunt his way on base, cherry pick an occasional first pitch fastball and hit it out of the ballpark. But when you see the power that this young man has, he projects maybe as more of a middle of the lineup run producer.
He's got 15 hits in his first 7 major league games. And that puts him on this list the most since 1921. He has been a sensation. And Dale Swaim says Lake is a dynamic guy who can do things in the leadoff spot. And it depends what they do with David DeJesus. He might get traded here. And Swaim said they'll just ride it as long as they can.
You think back to a few years when they had a similar problem with Corey Patterson. Guy that had great speed. You liked him at the top of the batting order, but he fancied himself a home run hitter and liked to swing for the fences. A lot of people thought he was more of a middle of the lineup guy. He never really settled into either one.
Starlin Castro doubled his last time up. We mentioned the Todd McFarlane home plate project, different works of art on the home plates. And you can check those out. They're all up for bid at homeplateproject.com. Bob Brenly and I have a home plate that you can bid on. In fact, I think we have a picture of it, BB. This is the one that you and I came up with. It is our view from the booth home plate, and we've each signed it. Well, right now, the winning bid for that one, and the auction, of course, is still open, is $200. Baxter's is going for $225.
Is that right?
So far, a Baxter home plate is worth more than a plate from you and I, which I find a little upsetting. Gonzo's, this is just as embarrassing. Gonzo's is going for $300 right now.
Well, that's because he bid on it.
I think you're right. The one that Todd McFarlane designed, the Spider-Man one, is over $2,700. So we're raising some money for a good cause.
Absolutely.
That's you can see, where is Gonzo's?
Well, the one with the snake now.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, he had some artistic help from somebody.
Look at Baxter's. Baxter's is going for $225. And of course, Charlie Sheen has one on there we just saw. This is how you can take part. Homeplateproject.com. Bidding ends August 2nd. Teaming up to raise some money for D-backs charities and community projects. All the home plates are decorated by celebrities and mascots. Charlie Sheen has one in there. Gonzo, Larry Fitzgerald of the Cardinals has one. So let's take a look at Charlie Sheen's, actually. What's Charlie's look like? You see, that's there you go. The Rick Vaughn 99. Now that's cool. That one right now is going for $400. And Charlie has signed it and dated it. Did you ever meet Charlie Sheen? I got to meet him at the All-Star game. Goldie in foul ground. Charlie Sheen is a legit baseball guy. He loves it, man.
Big time baseball fan. I think the Cincinnati Reds are his favorite team, but he loves all the teams.
Yeah, he was at the All-Star game last year, and he's into it, man. Of course, he travels with the whole entourage and the goddesses and all that, but he's there to watch the game. And he's great. Takes pictures with everybody. He says hello, chats everybody up. Anthony Rizzo. That one kicks away from Willie Evis, and Junior Lake goes to second.
There's a lot of hitters in this Cubs lineup that may have chased that last pitch, but Anthony Rizzo's not one of them. He's one of the more disciplined hitters in this Cubs lineup.
Wild pitch. Wade Miley approaching 80 pitches here with One out in the 6th. The view from high above. Here at Chase Field. Padres coming in for 3 beginning tomorrow. Hard to first, Goldie. He will flip to Miley. And Junior Lake gets to 3rd. Wade Miley's not walking great. I mean, he took one hard off the knee, and he is still limping a little bit. But he's moving all right on this one. And they are keeping a close eye. You better believe it. I think they're giving him a minute here. In fact, Paul Nard will come out from behind the plate. He had to exert himself to get over there and cover the bag, and you can see him limping right there.
Hopping on that left foot. You know, if there was any way Goldie could have taken that himself, he would. We've talked about it all season long. The 3 unassisted play at first. Goldschmidt with 109 this season. Adam LaRoche of the Washington Nationals with 70 is in 2nd place.
Wow.
I love it personally. I mean, it avoids any risk of a bad toss, or the pitcher drops the ball, or he misses the base. So many bad things can happen.
Martin Prado. And Wade Miley does a great job of stranding that runner. He's given up only 3 hits through 6. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. So far, Cliff Pennington 2 for 2. Diamondbacks lead at 3-zip. Good night to be with us at Chase Field. Diamondbacks lead the Cubs 3-0. Wade Miley, despite taking a line drive off the knee, is pitching an absolute beauty here. He's worked 6 scoreless innings, walked 1, given up just 3 hits, and struck out 3. Pitching change for the Cubs. Carlos Villanueva's night ends after 5, and the new pitcher for Chicago, former Red Sox great Michael Bowden. He was acquired by the Cubs from Boston in a trade for Marlon Byrd back in April of last year. He spent parts of 5 big league seasons with the Red Sox, and he's been in the Cubs system ever since.
We saw him in, game 2 of this series. Pitched an inning in the 3rd, gave up 3 hits and 3 runs in that ball game. I mentioned there, the Cubs bullpen is a little dinged up. Bowden is one of the few guys that Dale Swaim has available that he could possibly get multiple innings out of tonight, so he's the first guy out of this chute.
The Red Sox were never quite sure what to do with Michael Bowden. Starter, reliever, starter, reliever. He kind of went back and forth. New third baseman for the Cubs is Valbuena. At 3rd, he takes over for Cody Ransom. So some changes there for Dale Swaim. Will Nieves, Cliff Pennington, and the pitcher spot here. 7, 8, and 9. In the Arizona 6th, Diamondbacks lead at 3-0. Aaron Hill an RBI double. Cliff Pennington an RBI double. Aaron Hill a solo home run, his 5th of the year. Nieves doubled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Will spent his All-Star break at Cabo. And he was tweeting out some pictures of the beautiful blue water and the white sand and the whole thing. Will Nieves will not stop hitting. He's 2 for 3.
Send everybody to Cabo for the break next year. Whatever it takes.
Well, I follow Will on the Twitter, and my wife follows him too, and she's showing me the picture. And of course, the next thing is, well, when are we going there?
When are we going?
Yeah. It looked nice, I got to say that. Leadoff man on for the Diamondbacks, and here is Cliff Pennington, who's had a terrific night so far. He singled in the second, had an RBI double in the fourth. He's 2 for 2. Right to Rizzo. They get the force on the Nieves. Castro tries to turn it, but Pennington beats it out.
Cliff Pennington knows that's a possible double play unless he beats that relay throw back to first base. Really pushing it down that first base line to make sure the Cubs can't turn 2.
Are you bunting here?
Probably not. He didn't bunt with a runner at second his last at bat in the ball game back in the 4th inning. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. I think he's going to let him swing it. No, he's not.
High chopper, and it hit him. It hit him in fair territory, and he's out. He chopped it high in the air right over his head and ran right into his own bunt. Just a bad break right there. Chopped it off the plate. Tried to duck.
Yeah, he knew it was close. He wasn't quite sure where it was, and then a little hop, skip, and a jump at the end of it here. Once again on that right knee, you see him kind of hopping down the first base line, obviously in discomfort, but trying to gut his way through it.
That's one unassisted in the book. The runner cannot advance. And so here's Adam Eaton. By the way, taping the Aaron Hill Cup of Coffee show today. We actually taped 2 down at Chloe's Corner in downtown Phoenix. One with Patrick Corbin and another with Aaron Hill. And you're a hunter. You occasionally hunt, right?
Yeah.
Aaron's a little bit of a hunter. Grew up hunting in Visalia, that area, part of California. Well, Wade Miley's a big hunter. Wade Miley will tell you hunting stories that'll keep you up at night, frankly. But Wade's idea, he's one of these guys that gets up in the tree stand and then puts all this stuff on the ground and waits for stuff to come to him, and then he just shoots it. Well, Aaron said he took him out and took him on a different kind of hunting up to an Indian reservation, and that's where you actually have to go hunt. You're walking around 10-12 miles through the snow,
tracking them.
He said that Wade was about 30 minutes behind him. He's like, I can't, it's too much. I can't. I'm tired. And they were just laughing and laughing. Like, this isn't a thing where you sit in a tree and wait for it to come to you. You got to go find it. That's what hunting is. That's Aaron's idea of hunting. It's not Wade's idea of hunting, apparently.
It's the difference between hunting and shooting.
Exactly. So he had him going through the snow, these snowbanks, and following tracks and everything like you're supposed to do, I guess. But Wade he's got a different style. No pitch right there. Got a big no pitch right there from Paul Nart. How about this, BB? He took that shot off the knee, and Wade Miley, we saw him sitting earlier, maybe about the 3rd or 4th inning or so, but he is now standing, it seems like, for the entire half inning.
I think they're just trying to keep that knee from getting too stiff. Anybody that's ever had any kind of a knee injury, if you sit for any amount of time, it really, really tightens up. The swelling gets into the joint, and then you have all kinds of issues. But yeah, he is not sat down between innings. He just keeps pacing up and down the dugout, down the steps into the clubhouse. Just trying to keep it loose enough to go out there for another inning and pitch again.
Adam Eaton had made a late request for timeout that was granted by Paul Nart, so that's the reason for the no pitch earlier, and now Bowden will step on. Now this is the kind of thing that you worry about the next day or a couple of days after that. If there's more swelling or if it gets sore, there's a contusion there. Adam Eaton rips that one into center field, but Junior Lake tracks it down with the gap in left center. And that's the inning. We are through 6. See if Wade Miley can get back out there. He's got a 3-0 lead. Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores is ready to take you to a Diamondbacks game. It's headed this way August 11th to September 1st, and you can get on board. Just stop by this month's participating Cox retail store in Tucson, the Fry's Food Store in Globe, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. Back and forth you go to the D-backs games at Chase Field, both on August 11th or September 1st. Those are your choices, so get on the bus, Gus, and meet us down here for a ball game. Wade Miley starts off the 7th inning against Nate Sherholz, and he lines that one into the corner in right field. And boy, they are really having some issues getting this guy out in this series. Nate Sherholz is on base again with a leadoff double. Now he's hitting lefties.
Well, we talked about Sherholz as a guy that could possibly be moved at the trade deadline. A left-handed bat, versatile outfielder, can play all 3 outfield positions. Smokes another one down into the right field corner. And I mean, he has hit him from foul line to foul line in this series.
And he has been a real pain in the neck, and we got about 25 scouts down there, it seems like. Teams looking for bats. All the advanced guys are here. The scouts are here looking for trade deadline acquisitions. Trade deadline is coming up. It's under a week to go. Those are all scouts sitting right behind home plate right now. And if anybody out there is looking for a left-handed bat, Nate Sherholz is looking pretty good right now. Cole Gillespie. Jello shots. Keep those away from the scouts. Sign the wrong guy. Well, he looked good when I was there. I don't know.
I think you might see some activity in that Diamondbacks bullpen. Wade Miley up to the 83 pitch mark. Obviously not a concern with the pitch count, but a little bit of concern with that knee. As he ran over to cover first base the last time he was out there on defense, really jammed that right foot onto the bag at first, grimaced as he came off the bag. We saw him on that bunt, kind of protecting that right knee after the ball hit him on the shoulder. This is the play at first I was talking about. Watch his face as he comes off the bag. He felt it that time.
Yeah, he's not feeling great. And now he walks Gillespie here. So it's 2 on, nobody out, and the Cubs will get the tying run to the plate in the 7th. He has been tremendously efficient so far. 84 pitches, 51 for strikes. In fact, 13 of 22 batters for the Cubs saw 3 or fewer pitches tonight. Pitches, I should say. And you can hear the phone ringing. There is Glenn Sherlock down in the bullpen. Everybody limbering up now. 13 of 22 batters saw 3 or fewer pitches. And so Wade Miley has been rolling along now, but it's a double and a walk to lead off the 7th. Here's Darwin Barney. Only the second walk for Wade Miley. Barney so far 0 for 2. Chop to third. Prado gets the force at third, and they get the double play. Nice backhanded scoop by Goldie down there. Gillespie moves up to second, but that's 2 big outs. Let's make that our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. The force is on with men on first and second, so Prado just steps on the bag. Taylor made there, BB.
Nice pick at the other end by Paul Goldschmidt as well. That's a room service double play ball right there, leading Prado right to the base.
Boy, that is fantastic, because even with JJ puts up now with 2 outs, he can get out of here without any damage and get Miley all the way through 7 and let him ice that knee. Wellington Castillo. Gillespie's up at second, and 2 down. Castillo has been on base twice actually today. He's the guy that hit the ball that went off the knee of Wade Miley back in the 3rd. He walked his last time up. And he lifts that one to center. Adam Eaton backing up on the run at the track, and Adam Eaton won't get there. This will score a run. Here comes Gillespie. Castillo in his second. He's on base for the 3rd time today, and the Cubs are on the board. It's 3-1. With 2 outs, Gillespie was scoring easily on that one, and Castillo has his 16th double this year.
Ball was struck well just to the right of straightaway center. Adam Eaton froze initially and then tried to make up ground with that leaping attempt out there, but just couldn't quite get to the spot. Charlie Nagy with a long, slow walk out to the mound right here, and boy, does that double play loom large now.
Sure does. Sherholz doubled. Gillespie walked. It was 1st and 2nd, no outs. They got the double play ball. The outs at 3rd and 1st. Gillespie moved up to 2nd. And now Castillo has doubled him home. 2 doubles and a walk in this inning. And the pitcher spot is up right now. And they've double switched, so Luis Valbuena comes in. Pitcher spot is the cleanup spot now for the Cubs, and Valbuena will hit. Luis Valbuena 0 for 5 last night. He started at 3rd. He just came into the game. And this is a guy that's got some pop. 9 home runs this season, 1 shy of a career high.
All 9 of his home runs have come against right-handed pitching this season. Advantage Miley.
Well, this is a guy that has struggled lately, batting only 150 since July the 6th. And coming off the 0 for 5 last night. Miley jumps ahead 1-2, trying to strand the runner at second. That's Castillo after the RBI double. First Cub run tonight. Nieves trying to sell it, but it's 2-2. High in the air to right field. Gerardo Parra coming in. And Wade Miley gets through 7 relatively unscathed. The Cubs get 1 across, but they strand 1. Home half of the 7th. It's 3-1 Diamondbacks.
Upcoming matchup as the Diamondbacks will start a 3-game series to end the homestand with the San Diego Padres. The left-hander Eric Stoltz on the mound for the Padres, and for the Diamondbacks it will be the right-hander Randall Delgado, who's allowed 3 runs or less in all 7 of his starts. Want to give you an update, though, on the latest with Trevor Cahill, who's coming back from that injury that he suffered and obviously trying to get right. Tonight, he was out at Salt River Fields with the AZ League D-backs taking on the AZ League for the Angels. 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 run not earned, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So for Trevor, he'll eventually work his way to a minor league rehab stint at Reno. Brandon McCarthy, by the way, will have his second start for Reno tomorrow. So those guys getting healthy, certainly a good sign.
Sure is. We'll take all the pitching we can get, Jody, these days. Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt, Jason Kubel, 2, 3, and 4 in the Diamondbacks' 7th against Michael Bowden. We'll take all the pitchers we can get, including Joe Borowski, who's here with us. Boy, some good news maybe for Trevor Cahill.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you can never have enough pitching. You never know when somebody may get injured here or there, and it's good to see those guys are on the track to coming back.
Starlin Castro, top shelf. That should have been Aaron Hill's 3rd hit tonight. He's an athlete down there. There's no question about that.
One step to his left and then a leap. Able to catch it right at the top of his jump. That one looked like it was ticketed for left center field and possibly extra base.
How about this, guys? Aaron Hill came into the game stuck in a 4 for 31 slump, and he has hit the ball hard tonight. The double down the line in the 1st that went off the bullpen wall, the home run in the 5th, and now that line shot, which should have got into the gap in left center. He's hit the ball really hard 3 times tonight.
Maybe there's something to be said about those couple of days he had off. Maybe he really did need that rest. He's definitely looked a lot crisper tonight, hitting the ball hard.
Big swing and a miss by Goldie. Yeah, Aaron, since he came back from the fracture in his left hand, had hit .244 in 25 games, 22 of those starts. And Kirk Gibson said, as Joe mentioned, he'd just seen some fatigue in Aaron's swing lately, looked a little bit tired, so he sat him out 2 nights in a row. And he went 0 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts on Monday against the Cubs, but he looks like a man refreshed and ready to go here tonight.
Well, we know he worked extremely hard on his rehab assignment so he could get back to the major league level. Has continued to work hard in the batting cage, and sometimes even as a player you don't realize how much that takes out of you physically.
Popped him straight up in the air, very shallow right field. Darwin Barney's there. And he talked about that today when we were shooting the Cup of Coffee show, Aaron, about going through that rehab process and how you work really, really hard as you do when you play. But the difference is, at the end of the day, there's no reward, there's no finish line. It's just more of it tomorrow.
And the thing about doing rehab stints is not only is it physically demanding, but the mental part of it is very demanding also. It's a part where you're trying so hard to get back that you don't realize you're exerting yourself even more. And it was just good to see that Gibby had noticed that, and he gave him a couple days breather.
Jason Kubel, 0 for 2 with a walk. Now we got to get Jason turned around. What do you guys see anything with Jason? It's been a tough month because he really had a good June. He hit .296 in June, but right now he's 5 for 38 this month.
Well, in June he was getting a little more regular playing time. It wasn't a daily thing, but he was getting in there 4 days a week, 5 days a week, depending on the opposing starting pitcher. Got himself a little bit of rhythm going up there at the plate, and it's just been kind of hit or miss here in the month of July.
That one is lifted high in the air to left center field. Junior Lake coming over, and here Cole Gillespie. Lake wants it, and he's got it. A quick 1-2-3-7. Joe, thanks. We'll see you in the postgame.
Looking forward to it, guys.
Diamondbacks lead it 3-1. Miley took one off the knee, but he's been outstanding. 1 run on 5 hits through 7, couple of walks and 4 strikeouts, and BB is ready to answer the bell here for the 8th.
Yeah, we've questioned every half inning whether he'd be able to go back out and take the mound for another inning of work, but this is one of his finer outings this season.
It's good to see that he can get back out there. That's got to be a good sign, right? He's at, let's see, 93 pitches right now, 57 for strikes, and he'll face the top of the order in Junior Lake, who bunted for a base hit his last time up. Junior Lake in this series, 10 for 18. He has been something else. Broken bat. Right to Aaron Hill. Boy, that thing shattered. Speaking of breaking and smashing things, let's update the AT&T Twitter poll question. Now we mentioned that we have the Phantom Cam over the weekend here. We're highly anticipating that for the Padres D-back series. The Phantom Cam shoots video slow motion at 3,000 frames per second. And we asked you, would you like to see us smash in slow motion with the Phantom Cam, either a melon, an egg, a balloon, or a Dodger bobblehead? Well, in a very narrow vote, the Dodger bobblehead has won.
Gallagher voted for the melon.
That's right. He's a misunderstood genius, Gallagher, isn't he? But now these are the bobbleheads we have in the booth. These are the new Goldie ones. Let me get these out of the way while we're talking about smashing bobbleheads. And so we went to our bobblehead guy, and we came up with an old James Loney bobblehead. He, of course, now plays for Tampa Bay.
Arm injury. There we go.
Boy, the bobblehead. If you're a bobblehead up in the booth, your lifespan is very short before you lose a limb or something.
Especially this guy.
So that is the bobblehead, fans. By your AT&T Twitter poll vote that we will smash at 3,000 frames per second. And that'll have. When is that going to, Mitch? When is that going to take place exactly? Tomorrow. We're going to do that tomorrow. All right. So tune in tomorrow.
Nothing personal, James.
It's just the Dodger blue. That's all. Starlin Castro now. And it's just, I mean, it's nothing against James Loney. It's not personal. It's just, we're in a pennant race here, and we're just doing what the fans requested. That's all.
We couldn't find the Tommy Lasorda bobblehead doll, so James Loney's going to pinch hit.
I have a feeling if we had,
it might not have made it till tomorrow.
Bob Zweig, we'd like to thank Bob, who's got a tremendous bobblehead collection. Bob Zweig has donated the James Loney Dodger bobblehead so we could smash it on the Phantom Cam at 3,000 frames per second. And that'll take place tomorrow. It's like going to be opening Al Capone's vault. It's going to be one of those things. Now, again, this is what the difference is. You've got regular slow-mo. That's Heath Bell right there. That's 60 frames a second. That's no big deal. X-Mo with Patrick Corbett in the middle. That's 300 frames per second. But the Phantom Cam with Jason Marquis right there, that's 3,000 frames a second. That is super-duper crazy slow-mo.
Oh.
And so we're gonna break it down on Phantom Cam. Speaking of, boy, that is a broken bat.
Yes, it is. Toothpicks and tent pegs.
So a 1-out walk to Starlin Castro, and the Cubs have the tying run at the plate here with a 1 away in the 8th, and Anthony Rizzo, who's 0 for 3. 3 walks issued now by Wade Miley, and he is at 103 pitches, 61 for strikes. I think J.J. Putz is still warming out there. And you got to be careful with Rizzo. He's got good power, although a tough matchup for him against the left-hander Miley.
Yeah, speaking of the Dodgers, they trail the Reds 4-1 at the bottom of the 6th inning. Matt Latos out pitching Zach Greinke in that ball game. Jay Bruce with a 2-run homer for the Redlegs.
Well, Rizzo so far is 3 for 14 in the series. He's got 2 RBIs, but he scored 3 runs last night. He walked twice, had an RBI double. Pitcher's spot is due up next in Deanna Navarro, who, as we know, has got some pop. is in the on-deck circle. He's homered in this series already. There's a strike, 2-1. Pitcher spot is due up next after the double switch, and Navarro will hit. That one gets by Nieves, and Castro jogs up 90 feet. And he'll move into scoring position with one away.
Been a couple of tough chances tonight for Will Nieves. That one, the fastball just spiked in the dirt over there in that right-handed batter's box. Scoots through.
And you saw how upset that Wade was out there on the mound with himself. Want to lose composure here behind 3-1 to a good power hitter. You got to keep in mind Navarro, who's on deck, is a switch hitter, but he's a natural right-hand hitter. And so he would, of course, bat righty against the lefty Miley. So do you then go to maybe JJ here and flip him around? Another broken bat up the middle. Pennington has to hurry, and they get Rizzo at first. Castro moves up to third. And we'll see what Kirk Gibson does here.
Certainly that would be the percentage play. 108 pitches for Wade Miley in the ballgame, although he has absolutely sawed off a couple of the better hitters in this Cubs lineup.
Yeah, he's going to JJ right here. That's it for Wade Miley at 108 pitches. 64 for strikes. He took one off the knee back in the third, and he sort of gutted this one out through 7 2/3. A terrific start for Wade Miley, who continues to look better and better. But they'll go to JJ Puts. The tying run is coming up. We'll take a break. Out and finish off the 8th inning, but a tremendous pitching performance tonight on essentially one knee. 1 run so far, 5 hits, 7 2/3. He walked 3 and struck out 4. He's responsible for Castro at third.
Well, he'll stay out here to watch JJ Puts get the last out of this inning, and then probably head straight up to the training room and put an ice bag the size of Texas on that knee.
JJ last worked Monday against the Cubs. He came on in the 8th and issued a walk and had a strikeout. Castro's at third with 2 down, and Deanna Navarro will hit for the pitcher here. And this guy has got good pop. He's a switch hitter, a natural right-hand hitter who, strangely, Bob, has a good power from the left-hand side.
He's got great power to right center and right field. Doesn't have quite as much going to the opposite field. So look for JJ just to stay away here. Fastballs away, splitters down.
You see the splits right there. 515 right-handed, only 208 left-handed, but he's got 5 home runs this year from the left-hand side. There's a high chopper foul. It's quickly 0-2. as a pinch hitter this year. Deanna Navarro is 6 for 17. He does have 2 pinch hit home runs. And since May 24th, he has swung a hot bat, batting more than .340 with 6 homers. Oh, 0-2 to Navarro. Castro at third. Blew him away on 3 pitches. Thunderstruck, and the Diamondbacks are through the 8th. They lead at 3-1. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Prado, Power, and Nieves in the Arizona 8th. Oh, there they are in their own majestic beauty. The next bobblehead is, oh, this is a must-have. The All-Star Paul Goldschmidt bobblehead. And it is Saturday, August 10th. That's a Diamondbacks-Mets game. So be here to get your Paul Goldschmidt bobblehead, courtesy of Audi. The special gold edition of the Goldie bobblehead, and then the regular Goldie edition. So guarantee your bobblehead and don't wait in line. Purchase the Goldie bobblehead 4-pack of tickets by logging on to dbacks.com/4pack. For more info, you can call 602-462-4600 and get the Goldie 4-pack and get your Goldie bobblehead. And speaking of Paul Goldschmidt, this is Blake Parker on for the Cubs again. It was Parker who served up Goldie's 3-run home run last night, which was the 50th of Paul's career.
Don't think he's going to try to sneak a fastball by him on the inside part tonight. As I said earlier, pitchers make mistakes even at the big league level, and you know he is going to be ready for one.
How about J.J. Putz, BB? 3 pitches.
Nice.
Have a seat. Thanks for playing. Here's Prado. Doubled his last time up and stole a base. He's got 5 hits and 4 RBIs in the series so far. The low point for Martin this year was April 27th. At that point, he was down to 208 on the year. And he has battled his way back in 73 games since that. He has hit better than 280, and he's raised his average for the year by more than 50 points. Matt Reynolds, who more good pitching news here, BB. We talked about Trevor Cahill, and he looked so good tonight. Matt Reynolds has been cleared to start throwing.
Nice.
He was ordered to be shut down after coming up with an elbow issue. And remember how good he was. It seems like so long ago when he was just scoreless in his first 19 appearances as a Diamondback, and then had a some elbow pain, had to be shut down for a long time, but Matt has now been cleared to start throwing again, which is terrific news. Prado rolls that one to Valbuena at third. The backhander, long throw, and they get him one away. Grounds out to Valbuena.
More good news from the Diamondbacks minor league system. Some guys won some awards this week. Visalia right-handed pitcher Brandon Sinnery, California League Pitcher of the Week. Hillsboro outfielder Yogi Perez Ramos named Northwest League Player of the Week.
Yogi? Yeah, Yogi. We got a guy named Yogi?
Apparently.
I like that.
Missoula first baseman Dan Palca and right-handed pitcher Felipe Perez were named Pioneer League Player and Pitcher of the Week, respectively. Congratulations to all those young men.
Ronald Parra 0 for 2 with a walk. The Hillsboro Hops. Cubs, by the way, when they come up in the 9th, will have Schuerholz, Gillespie, and Barney, the closer du jour. Brad Ziegler is working under the watchful eye of Glenn Sherlock out there. And Brad has done a tremendous job as the closer. And he'll get a closer save opportunity here with what is right now a 3-1 lead. Diamondbacks trying to salvage a split of this 4-game series. Parra jumps ahead 3-0.
Green light in effect. We know that for Kirk Gibson. He likes to turn his guys loose 3-0.
Nieves is on the deck. He's on deck. He's 2 for 3. He scored a run. Parra, he's our guy. Sure is. Ooh, hold on there, Paul Nard. 3-1.
That's that automatic 3-0 strike just to continue the at-bat. Maybe one of the red seams caught the edge of the plate right there.
Yeah, after Castillo pulled it down by about 12 inches. His glove was moving so much it looked like he was waving. Here's another strike. 3-2 now. There's the walk. One out base runner here for the Diamondbacks in the 8th. Hey fans, MLB.TV celebrates 11 years with new low prices. And you can watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile devices or in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. You can watch any game you want on your phone. It's unbelievable. Visit MLB.TV today. It's baseball everywhere. Arnold Parra on base twice tonight with a pair of walks. A one-out base runner for Will Nieves. Nieves doubled and scored in the 4th, singled in the 6th. He's 2 for 3. Now watch Parra closely. And Kirk Gibson admitting that catching more innings than anyone else in baseball has left Miguel Montero a little beaten up. Miggy fighting a bad back, although he says he feels much better now. But regardless, Kirk Gibson says we're going to get Will in there, trying to get him in there more consistently, a little more occasionally than he has been lately. He's starting for the 3rd straight game tonight. And when he's in there, he hits.
Did a real nice job with Wade Miley tonight. Wade's not always the easiest guy to catch because he wants to work so quickly. And we've talked about it before. You love the fact he works quickly between pitches. You just have to make sure he maintains his rhythm during the pitch.
That one is chopped to short Castro to get the force on Parra. Barney turns the double play. And that'll end the inning. We'll head to the ninth. It's a 3-1 Diamondback lead, and here comes the closer. We're in the ninth at Chase Field. Diamondbacks with a 3-1 lead over the Cubs, trying to split this 4-game series, and they turn to their closer. This is Brad Ziegler, his 53rd appearance of the season. No pitcher in Major League Baseball has made more appearances this year. He will work to Nate Scherholz, Cole Gillespie, and Darwin Barney, the scheduled hitters for Chicago, 5, 6, and 7. Brad worked one inning last night. He came on to start the ninth, got a ground ball, a line drive, gave up a single to David DeJesus, and then got another ground ball to get out of the inning. But prior to that, Brad's last 3 outings had all come in save opportunities, and he had gone 3 for 3. He is a perfect 4 for 4 this year in save chances. The first was that marathon 15-inning game at Citi Field against the Mets back on July 4th. That closed out the 10-game road trip. Look at those numbers. He has not allowed an earned run in his last 7 appearances, and a perfect 4 for 4. Scherholz is 1 for 3. He doubled his last time.
Boy, and that's a sign of a guy that's locked in at the plate. Takes a borderline pitch like that right near the outside corner with a little bit of sinking, tailing action, and just took it like he knew it was off the plate.
And again, Scherholz not in the Cubs' original lineup. The first lineup we were handed out by Dale Swaim had Alfonso Soriano on it. And then came the news that the reported deal with the Yankees was 99% done, so Soriano came out of the lineup, and Scherholz was put in there against the left-hander Wade Miley. This is not a guy who hits lefties, but Dale Swaim had to go to emergency mode and put Scherholz in there, and so far he's 1 for 3 with a double. And he has had a very big series against the Diamondbacks right here. 6 for 11, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, and 7 RBIs in this series. Career against Brad, he is 0 for 3. Nate Scherholz drives it to the gap in right center. Adam Eaton backing up, and that ball is gone, but hold on. And we are signaling for the fan reach. That is not a home run. Dana DeMuth is the crew chief. He's the second base umpire on the rotation. He goes out there to deep outfield, and he clearly saw it and signaled immediately that the fan reached over the yellow line and interfered with the ball. And now all 4 umpires will huddle in the infield. He made the call immediately.
Oh, yeah, no question. I mean, nice catch by the fan in a hat, no less, but that's not a home run.
And Brad saw it right away. DeMuth, who goes out there to cover that from second base, signaled immediately, giving the sign that the fan had reached over. And so, yep, they are going to put Nate Scherholz to second base.
I guess technically Dale Swaim could ask the umpires to go take a look at a replay of this, but as you said, Dana DeMuth got himself out there in a good position to see that play. It was as obvious as it could possibly be that that fan reached down onto the field of play below the yellow stripe. Get one more look at it. Yeah, no question that ball's not going to leave the ballpark. Actually could have possibly hit the facing of the terrace right there and ricocheted back on the field, and Scherholz could have possibly ended up at third base.
And I tell you what, with all these scouts here, a lot of them watching Nate Scherholz because contenders are looking for a left-hand bat right now. This guy in this series is 7 for 10 with 3 doubles, 2 homers, and 7 RBIs. And now his double here to lead off the ninth brings the tying run to the plate. And here is David DeJesus, who will pinch hit. So DeJesus hits for Gillespie. DeJesus 2 for 6 last night, 2 runs scored in his return from the DL. And that guy has been ejected. Please don't lean over the railing and interfere with the ball while it's in play. It's never a good idea to lean over a railing at a ballpark anyway. It's a safety issue. Scherholz at second. DeJesus fouls that one. It's 0-2. This is a guy who was out for 33 games. He sprained his right shoulder colliding with a wall at Citi Field in New York against the Mets on June 14th. Missed 33 games. And came back off the DL yesterday, went 2 for 6. Lifted down the line in left, and that is a foul ball. Just barely foul.
Slicing into foul territory.
Angel Hernandez at third.
We're talking about that Soriano trade to the Yankees, just waiting to dot some I's and cross some T's. How bad do the Yankees need Alfonso Soriano? I'll tell you how bad. The Yankees as a team in the month of July hit 7 homers. Soriano had 8.
He can help them. There's no question. It's, you know, the money at $18 million is another issue, but he's a productive player. Ziegler ahead 0-2. Cubs have the tying run at the plate. No outs in the ninth. Swing and a miss. He got him one away. Brad Ziegler is 2-seam fastball, slider, changeup, and he's got a nice 3-pitch mix going these days. And now he'll work to Darwin Barney. Barney so far 0 for 3. And he is just 2 for 16 in this series. Boy, Adam Eaton, the center fielder, is shaded well over toward the gap in right center field.
That's kind of been the history of Darwin Barney, an opposite field guy, leads with his hands. The barrel of the bat drags behind, hits a lot of balls to center, and right field.
We saw that Reds-Dodgers score. Cincinnati leads at LA 4-1 in the 8th. Diamondbacks trying to pick up a game and get back within a half game of the NL West lead. But Barney is ahead here 2-0. Anything on the ground in left center will score a run here. Down the line in right and slicing foul. It's never easy, baby.
No, it isn't. 35 one-run games. tied for second in the majors. It's the only 18 times they've won by 3 or more runs, near the bottom of the major league rankings.
Well, torture's already taken. We have to come up with something else. 2-1. Wellington Castillo, the catcher, is on deck, looking for the strike call here. Three and one. Almost the same spot. She's locked in. Listen into the gub. 3-2. Right back to the mound. Ziegler. 2 down. Now here's the issue. Wellington Castillo has been up there 3 times, and he's reached all 3 times. He's singled off the knee of Wade Miley in the 3rd, walked in the 5th, had an RBI double in the 7th. This guy came into the ball game 2 for his last 23, but he's been on base all 3 times he's been up tonight. There's the strike, 0-1. Dodgers losing at home to the Reds in the 8th, 4-1. D-backs trying to close out a 3-1 win here. Tying run at the plate, 2 down. And Brad is a strike away. Castillo hitting only $175 over his last 14 games, 13 starts. Behind 0-2. Here it is. Excuse me, pop up Aaron Hill. And the Diamondbacks win. They get the split, and they put some pressure on the LA Dodgers. And Bob, we had a little bit of everything tonight. An outstanding performance by Wade Miley, gutting it out after he took one off the knee. The bullpen was solid, and the offense came up with some big hits.
Including Aaron Hill, who will be the tools of the trade tonight. RampTrucks.com, Aaron Hill.